Yeah, that's good. Perfect.
Okay. Welcome back. Today we are going to talk about a brand new topic, networks and telecommunications strategies. Okay. So this topic has something to do with how you communicate.
Did you put it on Facebook? Did you put it on? Did you put it on Facebook?
No, not yet. We'll do that soon. Okay. So this topic is quite important because you use internet every day, right? Pretty much. Are you using internet every day? Is that correct? Pretty much, right? Can I say you use internet every hour? Is that fair to say? Even I say every 10 minutes, do you use internet?
Sure.
Right? Yes. Okay.
Facebook.
Even every minute, you carry your cell phone, you connect to internet, you receive emails, anything, Facebook updates every minute. So it's quite important technology that we use all the time. All right. First of all, let's try to figure out why do we need to communicate using computers? Why? What's the purpose that we communicate? The main purpose is obvious that we want to share information, resources, and so on. For example, we share hardware. Do we share hardware? Why we want to share hardware? We have, for example, if you go to the second floor computer center, if you want to print something, you share printers, right? Because we don't want to, each person has a dedicated printer to print their information. So what we need to do is we have some software, some hardware, and we share. Okay, so hardware is one of the important equipment that we really share. Also, we share storage, the hard drive. Okay, for example, you have Google Mails, you have lots of emails, you save in hard drives. But Google certainly does not prepare one hard drive for each account, so you share the hard drive. Many people can use the same hard drive. CPU time, how do we share CPU time? If you need more computation power and one computer cannot handle all your computation requirement, you may have a few CPUs. And also, if you have a big lots of computation power for the CPU, and many people want to use the same computer, you share CPU time. So there are different ways of sharing. Okay. Then we share software. Many type of software, they are not really used by one person. Okay. Many people can share and use the same software to reduce the cost. Okay. And also we share data and we share information. Now if you go to Facebook, do you share data? You upload your picture, text, whatever. Many people can see that. So you share data. Voice, video, text, pictures, enterprise database, management system. So all that thing we share. Okay. Question?
Can you put it on so I can write down?
Huh?
Can you put it on Beachboard so I can
Yeah,
write
can I
down?
finish this?
Yeah.
Is that okay? And also we share information. Email. You share email, do you? You do share email, right? For example, we use chat room, we use newsgroup, scheduling, project management. Those are the tools that we use to share. Okay, email too, right? So the most important thing that we use, purpose to use internet or network is to share. Therefore, we can work collaboratively, and also we can work effectively. Okay, work together as a team. Do you remember in the first lecture I talked about in the future, the workplace is more like team players, right? The structure, the organization structure is getting flatter. It's like more flat. It's a network structure, so people share information instead of you have a hierarchical structure to manage other people. So in other words, you need to communicate with your team players, okay, or team members. So that's the purpose for telecommunications. Now, what kind of components do we have in your network? Obviously, you see that you have computers, right? Lots of computers. Now, there are different types of computers, as you can see. One type is called the client computers, client. Another type is called the servers, okay? So, have you heard a term called client-server architecture? Have you heard that? Very common word, right? Now, the clients are computers that you receive service. It's like you go to a dry cleaning shop. You are the customers. You walk in, you say, I got something to do. Just do my laundry. So it's pretty much you enjoy service. Now, every time you go to a website, you go to Yahoo, Google, you are a client computer. You are clients. You receive information. You receive service. Now, the server computers are the equipment that provides services. For example, you get Yahoo.com information, from Yahoo server. So Yahoo, they put all the information in their server to provide information. Upon request, they will send you, all the weather, stock market, all that information. So see that mainly two type of equipment in the network, okay? So in most cases, we are client, okay? Of course, if you own a website, you need servers to host your web page. Now, if you talk about clients, there are two kinds of clients. One is PC. Everybody has a PC, right? PC, usually a PC is a computer which has lots of power, such as you have a hard drive, you have, speaker, you have microphone, all that stuff. Okay, lots of things. Or also you have a USB port, and there is another type of PC. It's called a thin client. Means those type of personal computer are not used to do real computation. Pretty much, they are a very basic computer that can get information from the internet and also provide output back to the internet, such as iPad. You have iPad, right? Even your cell phone is kind of thin client. So they do not have lots of computation power, just like input-output device. So that's how we classify client into PC and thin clients, all right? I think the future, maybe thin clients are going to be more popular, okay, such as you have PC. Such as you have your smartphone or cell phone. And that cell phone can do lots of things. And also, have you heard cloud computing? Cloud means your device, your smartphone, does not need to do lots of computation. You send this computation to where? To the cloud, right? The cloud. Actually, it's a network. So the network can help you with the computation and send back the results. So in other words, you do not need to download a copy of Microsoft Office. You just do whatever and send to the cloud. They do all the computation and send it back to you. So it's pretty much input and output device. Okay, and that's what is going to happen in the future. So anybody can carry a cell phone, walk around, and that's everything there. You got all the computation there. Of course, it's supported by the cloud. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, look at the servers. The server. Now the servers are used to host web pages, and also the servers can be used to host database. Can be used to host the printer management. Okay, and the server can do many things, even to do security, all right, and other things. Now, as you can tell, servers are used to provide services, right? Services. So if you request service and you pretty much go to a server, the server can give you all the information to satisfy your request. And usually we say develop strategy. What does it mean, develop strategy? When you have a server, you have to develop your server, right? You cannot install the software, all that. That's how we call it development. Okay, develop a server. Now, usually you have three kind of stages. One is called development, the second one staging, and then production. What's the difference? Development is pretty much you start working on the software development, okay? Like, for example, I'm going to build a server to host abc.com, all right? Which it could be a website to sell items, sell merchandise, to internet. So at the very beginning, I have a piece of hardware, Actually, have you seen a server before? Have you? Anybody? Okay. A server, tell me how do servers look like?
They're tall, they have a bunch of, they're called blades.
Okay.
Insert.
All right.
It's modular. So
Very
you
good.
You can change out components.
Okay.
Which is a tall box, basically.
Very good. All right.
Lights
Okay.
and-
A server could be like as big as medium-sized refrigerator, okay, or as thin as like a blade, like your insert. So the reason to do that is that you have a tall, I would say, cabinet, and you have lots of very thin blade size server insert. The reason to have that is that you want the server to be scalable. Scalable? For example, I have 2 servers now which can handle 100,000 transactions a day. Now I expand my business. I need 200,000, so I can insert a few more servers. So scalable, that's very important for server. So when you develop your server, the website, all that, you need to start with the development programming, okay? So that's under the development stage. So doing all kind of experimental, programming, try this, doesn't work, that, and so on, make connection with database, all kind of activity will happen during the development stage. Now after that, what do you need to do? I pretty much finished my prototype. Okay, have you heard that term called prototype? Prototype is not a finished product, okay? It's kind of experimental still, but it's kind of finished, but not finished yet, all right? Between finish and not, between like complete the project to the completion or finish of the final product. So you need to test, we say test run this server. So that is the staging stage. In other words, you open your server to a limited number of potential users. Right? For example, you play video games, right? So once in a while they say, hey, you will have a new release, but not this new release is not to be available for everybody yet. So I have a select group of people. I want to show you my new prototype game, and you can try it. You tell me how you feel, and we get feedback. Then we kind of start fixing all the bugs, everything. And after that, make sure everything's good. Then we can move to production stage.
I
Question?
usually call that beta testing.
Beta, you got it. Yeah, we'll call it beta. Beta product. Okay, so something you can test, you can try and see if there's any feedback from potential users. Then we go to production. Production means this server is available 24 hours a day, most likely, for many applications. You cannot have the server to be, like down for a day or two. That's going to cost money for the company or disrupt the operation of the business. So you don't want that. So after you move to production, make sure everything is running pretty well and provide service all the time. Also, when you have, okay, by the way, in the classroom, does anybody own a server? Nobody? Okay, and you can also build your own server using your laptop computer, but you need a software. So you can host a web page using your laptop computer. Of course, you need some service from the internet service provider. You need to have a static IP address. Okay, we're going to talk about that later. Question?
Is that the same as a NAS?
NAS.
A
what?
NAS. NAS. NAS.
Okay. Okay,
Network.
if you spell it like network access. Okay, anyway, it's there are two kinds of IP addresses. One is called the static IP, means that IP is fixed, so you can use that to host a server. Anybody who accesses the internet will, type the domain name, and that will be converted into your IP and find your server. Okay. Now, most people they do have dynamic IP address. Means every time you log in, you got different IP address. So in other words, you cannot use dynamic to host a server. In most cases, of course, people use different technology to kind of change the IP, to do that. But that's not a good solution. But you need a static IP. So in other words, you need to go to the service provider and say, hey, we need a static IP. Yeah, they charge you extra for that, so you can host a server. Now, when you host a server, okay, now you have a server, right? Then you have to figure out how you are going to put the server. In-house, server farm, and outsourced. There are three strategies pretty much, okay? Of course, you could have other mix of two different strategies, but generally speaking, there are three possible ways you can do that. What is in-house? Obviously, put it in your own house, right? Or your office. Now, the issue is when you have a server, you need a special environment. Okay? I mean, at least the environment must be dust free. Okay, you cannot, it's not a good idea to put in the garage. Okay, usually it's a nice place with air conditioning because the server will generate lots of heat. Okay, and maybe you have air filter or air cleaner to make sure the air is clean. Okay, and make sure the electricity will give you a very steady voltage. Right, and also make sure that network connection is in good shape. All that condition must be met. So if you decide to say, hey, I'm going to put my server in my office, that's called in-house strategy. All right. What is the pros and cons for in-house server strategy? Put it in your own office. Anybody?
A con is that it takes up a lot of space.
Okay, very good. You are not professional. You find a place, you find an office, some office space you need, right? Also, you don't know, you may not have the expertise to really maintain the server hardware-wise. Okay, how about the pro? What are the pros to have a server in your office?
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper. Okay, could be cheaper, depending on how you want to do it. Right? Good.
Easier access.
Okay, easy access. Okay, and that can be overcome too. We have software that can do remote access, but that's okay. That's good. Good point. Any? How about more secure? If you have very important information, right, like your customers' information, social security numbers, address, telephone number, you don't want people to see that. Now, to lock your server in the office, you feel very secure, right? Nobody can come in to take your server or copy your database. Okay, so that's pro. In many companies like banking, financial services, they prefer that. Okay, or some large organizations, they have lots of confidential information. They want in-house. They don't want, go anywhere. Now the second approach is called server farm. Server farm is like for companies who do not have the facility or they want to maintain certain kind of privacy. Server farm is like, I have a building. A company owns a building. The building is very well maintained with air conditioning, network connection, power supply, everything. So people bring their own server. Say I have a hardware. I go to a server farm, put over there. Of course, there's a cage to protect, so nobody can open the door and look at your server. But they maintain your server. But you still, the owner of the server is still you, and you just bring the hardware to that place. They hook up with all the connection. Okay. So the good thing for that is you do not need a space. You do not need to maintain a good environment for the server, okay? But the cons are kind of, it's not in your location. So if you say, I want to take out or I want to swap or switch a hard drive. You cannot do that. You know, physically you don't see the server, but remotely it's over there. Okay. Now let me answer a question that how do you access the server? Yes, you can do that. We use something called remote control software. So pretty much you can log in your account and manage all the server, software part of the server remote from your office. You can do that. So that's the second strategy, server farm. Okay, and many companies do that also. Now, the third strategy, outsource. What does that mean? Outsource means you do not need anything. You do not have the hardware, you don't even have the software. You just say, okay, I have a database. I need you to help me manage my database. So I pretty much, you provide the hardware and software, I mean the company. So I use your service, I upload my database so you can manage whatever for me, okay? Now the problem for this approach, obviously is what? So I don't even have the hardware and software, right? I just upload my information, you manage everything for me. So what could be the issue?
Security?
Security, right? If I'm a bank, if I have lots of financial information, I do not want this choice. I do not want to outsource all my critical, important information to another third party, okay? Because anything could happen, you never know. People can steal information, all that. So that's the option that many companies do not want to have. However, if you are a very small company, a startup, you just start a company and you do not have the funds to have your own in-house server or you cannot afford to buy servers, then that could be an option, outsource. Is that okay? So 3 choices. Now, another thing I like to talk about for server is like scalability. What does that mean, scalability? Once you have a server, right, you want the server to be able to expand the computation power once you grow your business, okay? Now, if your server is not scalable, means you buy your server, this has the computation power for 100,000 records or 100,000 transactions a day. After a couple of years, your business grow up to 200,000. What are you going to do? You have to trash this server, buy a brand new, reinstall everything. And that's going to be lots of risk and also resources wasted, okay? So one important thing is scalable, means today I got a server, I need two servers to handle all the transactions. 2 years, 5 years later, I can add a few more, okay? Every year I add a few more, so it's scalable, the server can expand its computation power as you need it, okay? So that's a very important characters to have a good server installed for your business, okay? Scalability. And we say typical configuration for client server, okay? It's typical, means I would say in most cases in our internet application, we use this configuration for 3-tier client server architecture, 3-tier, right? Not 2-tier, 3-tier, right? As you can see, we have we have clients, we have servers, kind of 2-tier, right? What's another tier? Okay, let me show you a little chart. Okay, so for example, those are the clients. Okay, we have client computer, lots of client computers. And then here is the internet, all the connect to internet. Then we have the servers, connect to internet as well. Okay, so I use this chart server. Okay, so this is a typical 3-tier client server architecture. Let me show you what do I mean by that. Now the first tier is clients, right? The clients access internet, and this is internet. And then the client will access the internet and reach this called the web server. Web server means they host a web page, provide you all the web information, whether like yahoo.com, okay? Now, in most cases, this web server is going to connect to a database server. Why? You go to yahoo.com, right? You check your email. Does that go to a database server to get information for you? 3 tier. 1, 2, and 3. You see that? So in most cases, it's a 3-tier architecture. Means we have clients, we have web servers, we have DB database servers, okay, to make it 3-tier. Of course, can you have 4-tier architecture? Maybe a database will connect with another database, maybe some other things. Of course, possible, but typical configuration is 3-tier. You can have 5-tier, you can have 10-tier architecture. So it means a server connect to another server. So it's like a service provide, the servers provide services, right? But this server cannot provide all the services. So this server is going to rely on another server to help this server with good service. So that's why we have many tiers. Okay? So typical client-server architecture is clients, web server, and database server. Typical, right? Any questions? So let me ask you questions. Let's say you go to Cal State Long Beach student registration system. Okay, online, right? Online, you log in. When you see the first page, Cal State Long Beach student academic record, whatever, right? Okay, that page is pretty much provided by the web server. They give you the first page. You follow me? You type in your username ID, and that goes to the web server first. And the web server will take that information and go to a database server to find your information. Make sure you are a student. And then the database server will provide your academic records back to the web server. And then that web server will present that to you as a client. Do you see that? So is that typical 3-tier architecture? Go to a web server, database server, and back to you. Okay? In most cases, that's how it works. That's why we say 3-tier architecture. Okay? Is that a little bit confusing, or are you okay? Can you give me another example of 3-tier architecture? Let's say you go to Walmart, right? You try to buy something, right? You buy a pencil, bicycles, whatever, you check out items. Every time they scan your item, are they using 3-tier architecture pretty much? Which device is the client? Can I say the scanner? They scan it, right? Scan. So you provide the barcode information of the merchandise, right? And that goes to a server where they collect the barcode information. And then that server will go to a database to figure out the price of that item. Do you see that? And back to, the server where they collect all the barcode, then go to the POS, point of sale machine. That's also a kind of client server, all right? Although that network may not be internet. Maybe it's like a local area network or something local, or it could be internet. So it's a 3-tier client server architecture. So that's a typical application. In most cases, that's what we use, okay, 3-tier. Okay, how do they communicate? All right. Let's start talking about signals. There are 2 kinds of signals. Okay. Now I don't want to confuse you. The signals are different than transmission. Okay, so just make sure it's clear. It's like there are signals, and the signals are basically there are two types of signals. One is called digital signals. Okay, digital signals are voltage. You know voltage pulses, right? Voltage. I'll use this chart to represent digital signals. This is the type of digital signals. What are the characteristics of digital signals? They are voltage, right? All right. Now, do you feel voltage shock if you touch a wire, right? So, do you feel voltage if you really touch a wire? You do. But this is a very low voltage. It's not going to kill you, but you feel that. And this kind of voltage can generate heat, when they transmit over a wire, okay? So in other words, this type of signal is going to deteriorate after a long distance transmission. So it means it's going to disappear, or it's going to deteriorate, such as, I'll show you the chart, something like this. You understand? In other words, when you send this type of signals, this type of signal cannot travel far in a certain short distance. Those signals are very good. Why very good? Because it shows you exact value. 1010, that type of signals. So it's very accurate. When you send this kind of signals, very accurate. So 1001, cannot be 1.5 or 0.2. So for lots of digital applications, such as computers, this type of signals are perfect, right? Because you know that when we use computer system or digital equipment, everything is represented by ones and zeros. Is that correct? So this would be perfect signals. Okay, such as anything inside your computer system, anything, any signals, they are digital signals. That's why, do you feel the heat of your computer? Once you turn on the computer, you feel the heat, right? Because of voltage, running voltage, that generates heat. Okay. The second, okay, any question regarding digital signals? Okay, so let me answer a few questions. Okay. I mentioned that this type of signal can only travel in a shorter distance, right? Let's say, when I make a phone call from here to New York, okay, is that a good idea to use digital signals to transmit from here to New York? Yes or no? No. Perfect answer. Not a good idea, okay? Now, what if I want to send something on my email, on my phone calls, anything to New York? Do I have another alternative? How can I do that? If there's no alternative, how can we are doing this every day, right? I call somebody in Europe, in Asia, somewhere. We do that all the time, right? What kind of signal do we use? We do have a second alternative, which is called analog signals. This kind of signals okay, what is this? Electromagnetic waves. Okay? First of all, do you feel, are you able to feel this kind of signal? No. It's like electromagnetic wave, okay? You don't see it, you don't feel it, there's no heat generated, okay? But this type of signal can transmit over a wire, okay? Metal wire or fiber optics, or even wireless, no wire. Can we do that? Have you used walkie-talkie before? Okay, that's the signal, analog signal. Have you used, how about your cell phone? analog signal. But people get confused all the time. Say, hey, when I bought a cell phone, people say this is a digital cell phone. Why are you talking about analog signals? There are two different issues, right? When we say digital cell phone, we mean digital transmission, okay? But the signals are analog signals because they can travel far, wirelessly. For example, you have your, say, DirecTV, right? Do you use DirecTV or Dish? Where do you get the signals? From where? From satellite, right? You got signal from satellite. What kind of signals are those? Obvious analog, wireless. Cannot be digital, otherwise you need a wire from satellite to your home to receive signals. Also, it's too far. So the digital signal is not going to work. Then where do we use analog signals? Where do we use analog signals and where do we use digital signals? I'll give you a few examples. Everything inside the computer, we use digital signals, right? I just mentioned that earlier, right? Anything wireless must be analog signals. Make sense? And also anything that requires long distance communication must be wireless, including most internet applications. Must be analog signals. Okay? How about, have you heard of local area networks? LAN. Alright? Have you had a chance to connect to a local area networks? You see the wire? I'll show the wire. Okay, maybe you cannot see here. You see the orange one? The orange wire? Alright? That's called RJ40, RJ45 wire. And that wire is used to connect to local area networks. Now, when we say local, we mean local. Local is like in this building, local area networks. That wire uses digital signals because it's local. All right? If we communicate with New York, this signal, digital signal, must be converted into analog so we can transmit to long distance. But here, in this building, when you use local area networks, they are all digital signals. Okay? So let's talk about wired and wireless. Okay, for wired, electric cables. Okay, usually we have two types of electric cables. One is called twisted pair wire, and the capacity, okay, is 1 gigabits per second. That's maximum capacity. Now, what is considered twisted pair wire? That cable I just showed, RJ45, that's a type of twisted pair wire. Telephone wires, twisted pair wire. Although they are not twisted, but that's the term we use. Any wire which can transmit digital signals, in this case, are pretty much called twisted pair wire, except we have another wire called coaxial cable. Have you seen that before? The cable TV wire, okay, it looks like this. If you open it, okay, you see the insulation outside, and then there is a metal core to go through, right? That's a typical coaxial cable. The reason to have kind of good insulation, maybe they have some kind of metal sheet to protect, is to make sure the signal transmit in between are insulated well. So it does not have lots of noise from outside environment to guarantee the transmission signals are in good shape. Okay, so that's what they try to do to make it better. Also, the typical capacity for this is 1 gigabits per second. Okay, GBps means gigabits. We don't use bytes, bits per second. That's a typical transmission speed. Twisted pair wire, we use digital and analog, and also coaxial cable can be digital and analog, depending on what kind of signal you send, because it's metal, right? Metal can be used to transmit voltage pulses and also electromagnetic waves. Okay. Another cable that we use called fiber optics. The capacity is 6 terabits per second. So as you can see, it has lots of capacity, lots of speed for transmission. And also it's analog only because voltage, you know fiber optics, right? It's made of glass. And since the media is glass, you cannot send voltage through glass. So it must be analog signals, electromagnetic waves. Okay. Or sometimes we call it laser waves or laser beams. Okay. That's the signal we send. Wireless must be analog signals, of course. Radio, microwave, infrared, all that. The signals we use. Also, antenna, satellites, we all use wireless, of course. There's no wire. Okay? Even microwave oven use analog signals to heat the food. You know that? How does that work? Because when the wireless, the analog signals, when they send out the signals, it's kind of energy they send out. And the energy has some kind of frequency that can energize water molecules. So if you send out that frequency, which can just good for water molecules, that will heat up the water. In other words, when you use microwave oven, you put the food inside with water. If that's dry food, it's not going to work. You need some water inside the food, and that will energize the water and make the food hot. So actually, it's a kind of analog signal for your microwave ovens. Okay. Also, do you notice there are lots of cell phone towers, communication towers on the freeway? All right. What kind of signals are they sending out? Analog signals, right? Kind of electromagnetic waves. Is that going to hurt your health if you have a tower just nearby where you live? What do you think?
Not really.
No, not really? You say not really, not really?
Well,
Do you have one? Then my question is, do you have one nearby? Near
yeah,
where you live?
We have our cell phone, so if it transmits to us,
Okay.
it could.
I know, but how about the tower? You see the tower?
Yeah,
Close to where you live, right?
I don't see it.
You don't see it? Okay, good for you. Don't see it. Okay. All right, think about this. Though there's no scientific evidence that will cause cancer, okay, we don't have any. But I believe, personally, that if you are so close to a radio tower or a cell phone tower or that, it will send out all the electromagnetic wave every day, right? And somehow the frequency can energize some of your molecules that will change the structure of your molecules in your body. So I believe somehow that is going to affect your health. So if, just my recommendation, if you are so close to the power line or the power, they also generate electromagnetic waves, or cell phone towers, or even you have a major electronic device close to where your bed, and that will do that all the time. I suggest you kind of move away from that. Okay, just in the long run, that's in my theory, it won't be good for your health. Okay. Any questions? So that's what we use to